On this edition of Weather Legends, we continue the conversation about the recent catastrophic Texas floods that produced nearly 20 inches of rain and caused over 100 fatalities in and along the Guadalupe River. We sit down with longtime New York City Metro Region meteorologist Pat Pagano to hear his thoughts on the tragedy and a look at another major flood that hit northern New Jersey back in 2000. Today on Weather Legends. Hey everyone, Weather Legends host, meteorologist Rich Von Olin with you again. Following up on the catastrophic Texas floods that have happened in the past week or so over the 4th of July weekend, just an absolute tragedy there. We've got meteorologist Pat Pagano here from the New York City Metro region who's been doing weather a long time. Pat, how are you today?
Fine, thanks, Rich, and you?
All right, very good. Just disturbed though. This is tough to watch as a meteorologist no matter what part of the country you're from. And you wonder, how could this happen in this day and age, Pat? Our job is to protect. Our job is to forecast. Our job is to safeguard. And yet this scope of tragedy happens in the state of Texas with, massive flooding. So I guess I'll start with the question. We talk about NOAA, the National Weather Service meteorologist in San Angelo and the San Antonio area. Did they do a good job, in your opinion, Pat? And what happened here?
I definitely think they did a great job. I do have a discussion from them, 4:27 a.m., July 4th, that morning. And he said, ongoing storms associated with a mid-level remains of Tropical Storm Barry, and a plume of anomalous moisture is expected to continue beyond 12Z, resulting in 1 to 2 inches of rain per hour. Slight risk was introduced for the area for over 2 inches. The bulk would continue through the morning, perhaps waning in the afternoon. Okay, based on data, you cannot really do too much more than that. And Rich, so many people coming up to me in the gym, wherever I go in the stores, Pat, what do you think? I said, look, without getting into many details, we find it hard forecasting 10 or 12 inches of snow for a nor'easter in the wintertime right here. So if we find that hard, how difficult could it be to forecast a rise in water, floodwaters, 26 feet in 45 minutes? It's beyond the scope. We just can't do it, Rich. It's not possible.
Yeah, it's kind of the way I feel too with extreme events like this that pop up so fast and happen so quickly and rapidly. It's like, how much can we possibly do? And with that, Pat, we're in the business or in the industry of warning people, of giving them heads up. We have a system in place. How much warning time, in your opinion, was there from the Weather Service for a lot of these unfortunate, victims that were out camping? And were the warnings put out as best as they could from your knowledge?
I really do think they were, but you know as well as I do, many times flash flood watches, flash flood warnings go out. People hear it all the time. Thank God events like this do not unfold, so they kind of take it for granted. I remember one person saying to me about Long Island, yeah, I heard about the tidal flood warning. I said, yeah, and? He said, well, we're always under tidal flood warnings. No, we're not. We may be under tidal flood watches, but that's the other thing. The public, do they really know the difference between a watch, an advisory, and a warning? So there's a problem right there. But Rich, even if they had all of the sirens and everything that were needed, I don't think they could have done anything in 45 minutes.
Yeah, that brings up a good point, and we discussed this in the live podcast the other day, Pat. Even with the best warnings, the fastest, the most accurate information going out, if it's, well, first of all, it happened like late at night, right? From midnight to 1 in the morning, you might be sleeping. And what process, what means of information and communication do you have? Is it your cell phone? Do you have a ham radio? Do you have something in the wilderness in camp there by the river that wakes you up and says, get out of here fast? Pat, what are we talking about here when you've got a disaster of this proportion and you're out in the middle of nowhere, the wilderness? Is there any solution or anything we could do better? Or was this is just the best we could do?
I think it's probably the best we could do, and it's unfortunate. I remember a couple of months ago, all of us, our group here, we were talking about the fact that with the cutbacks, that was possibly going to be a disaster as we head into tornado season and hurricane season. And unfortunately, we're seeing that right now. I don't want to put one finger and say, yeah, it's because of the cutbacks. But I did note that in the San Angelo Weather Service, they were missing a senior meteorologist, a staff forecaster, and a meteorologist in charge. 3 people were gone there. And more importantly, in San Antonio, warning coordinator meteorologist, okay? He would have been the person that worked with the local emergency managers. He was gone. So there's a problem there. There's a problem there was no warning systems. There's a problem that you cannot forecast such an event. So unfortunately, we have to see this disaster.
Yeah, and I think it brings up an interesting point here. Regardless of staff, regardless of accuracy and technology, when you're off the grid, so to say, when you're in the middle of nowhere, and this doesn't just go for campers, Pat. Mm-hmm. People who ski, the avalanche issues. I mean, they go up there, the experienced ones, they've got a kit with them. They got a bag. If they get trampled, if they get hit by snow, they can survive. For boaters, I go out in the ocean a lot. Offshore, you're off the grid. There's no signal out there.
Right.
The big thunderstorm, something's coming.
Yeah.
You have with the weather radio, the NOAA alert radio on board, and you've got safety equipment. You've got life jackets. You've got an EPIRB, which is a honing device. You got something in case, God forbid, you get stuck. But when you're a group of campers or any kind of group that's out, hikers, I mean, Pat, what degree of concern would you have given a day or two before we saw the forecast that this would be a catastrophic flooding? And are you pointing fingers at those who, just reacted to what they were seeing? I mean, how does that work, Pat? Who, in fairness, I mean, it's right.
Yeah. I mean, we all look at the same data, that, Rich, and we probably would have seen, the potential of 1 to 2 inches per hour. But to get this, that moisture from Barry and to just have, these, the training, with the precipitation going over the same area over and over and over again, there's no way to predict that. I'll tell you a small story. I have a lake cabin in the northwest corner of New Jersey, and this is the year 2000. And my sister and my niece are going to come up with me. It's on a Saturday. And when we left Long Island, it was just cloudy. And we knew there would maybe some showers or thunderstorms. That was in the forecast. So we get there. And all of a sudden, it starts thundering and lightning. And it is coming down, Rich. And of course, they look at me and they said, listen, I know this is meteorology, but the intensity of rainfall or the intensity of precipitation is inversely proportional to its duration. And they said, speak to us in English. I said, well, the heavier the precipitation comes down, the shorter it lasts. Well, that was about 1 p.m. By 6 or 7 p.m., it was still going. The lake, I'm I would say about 15 feet from the lake. Well, the lake started rising and started coming up. It picked up the barbecue table and benches and brought it into the lake. We're all sitting in the screened porch. We're watching. We're seeing beaver dams floating by. This is also a very popular area, Lake Pagano in New Jersey, with motorboats and the whole bit. Houses are being flooded. And I don't know what's going on because really we have no electric up there. And like you said, we're in a campsite. So what is going on? We don't know. We hear a lot of sirens, but we still don't know what's going on weather-wise. I didn't have a cell phone with me back then, 2000, 25 years ago. So the evening came and the water was still rushing down the mountains. We're in a valley. Now, I didn't want to scare my sister and my niece, but now it's time to go to sleep, and I hear the water. And I'm thinking to myself, could this water come up, pick up my cabin, and bring it down and over the falls, because there is a dam. I was very concerned about it, so I got up very quietly, went outside. As I opened the screen door, 4 steps I have, the water was up to the top step. And on the top step, not to be gross, was, I would say, 3 or 4 inch pile of worms. I guess they were all running to try to get, away from the water. I didn't know, I was up the whole night thinking that the cabin would float away, but thank God it didn't. But the following day, the police came in from the back road, and they told us we had to form a line, and they escorted us out to the back road, and they told us, do not stop. Once you get the car going, keep going. We'll be in the front and the back of you. The water's rushing down the mountains. We got to get you out to the back. And then it was all over the news. And you could see some of the pictures here. It was incredible. So I could only imagine 20 inches of rain in 6 hours. How about a 26 foot of water in 45 minutes?
Yeah, it's, I think all of us have seen some type of, flooding in our lives and maybe been a little scared. I mean, that experience of course, in New Jersey is a pretty, significant one. But when your life becomes endangered and you don't know what's happening and you don't have an escape route, you're just a sitting duck. And I hate to say it, but this is something that could happen anywhere. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people in other big parts of the country that go in remote areas. And look, it's a beautiful thing. It's nice to go get away, get off the grid, go into nature, turn your phone off. But at the same time, Pat, you're also subjecting yourself to danger, because if you're not in the know, if you don't know what's happening or changing, you may not be able to react to that. And I think that's exactly what happened here in Texas. You can talk about climate change and the warming and the extremes, but they've been occurring for centuries, Pat. We've had extremes long before the whole climate change conversation came into existence. I mean, Galveston 1900, perfect example. They hardly knew that thing was coming. 9,000 people died. Yeah,
and this flash flood alley, 1936, 52, 72, 73, 78, 87, 91, 97. All of those years had big floods in the same area. New Mexico had floods yesterday. I believe, Rich, North Carolina had some evacuations last night as well, including Chantal, So like you said, it could happen anywhere.
Yeah, and the inland sections, I always kind of talk about it like an English muffin, nooks and crannies. The water is going to take the path of least resistance. It's going to go somewhere, and gravity is going to make it go where it has to go. If you are downstream of that gravity, of that water push, with the weight of water, with the volume of water, you're in trouble. And we've seen this happen in New Jersey, the Raritan River, the Ramapo, Bound Brook area. It's not just Texas. It just happened to be one of the more extreme events that we saw. But in your opinion, Pat, it's like where you live, where you go, should there be some type of knowledge about the dangers of a certain area, or do people just assume that they're okay because they have a phone?
Yeah, that would be real helpful if people knew the climatology of an area, where they're going to be camping out and where they're going. How do you do that, Rich? I don't know how you would do that. People may decide, next week, I'm headed to Washington State, and I'm going to be going to, let's say, Olympia. Okay. Do they look up the climatology? No. They look at their phone. They type out weather forecast for Olympia, and they have a 7-day forecast, and that's what they go by.
Yeah. You don't expect an extreme event, but I think this was just a very unfortunate timing circumstances. Like it was a holiday weekend. We're not really thinking about something this extreme. It's the middle of summer. There's no hurricane, like you said. Barry was just like a byproduct, kind of like a little, like I'm saying, when we have a major storm, a hurricane, a Katrina or something, we can track that. We can watch that. We can warn people because we see it. With events like this, Pat, what do you do, right? What can you do, Pat?
No, you sit and pray.
Yeah. I guess that's it. And it's unfortunate. You know, it's sad because, again, as meteorologists like you and I, we want to protect. We want to, alert. We don't want this to happen. And the problem with weather is there's no do-overs. You know, you can't go back and say, let's do this again the right. You're done. It's over. Yeah. You can only learn going forward. And what have we learned, Pat? Anything?
Unfortunately not. You don't want to be an alarmist. You don't want to keep putting up flood watches and flood warnings, because then when it's a non-event, people again will start taking it for granted. So you have to be very, very careful and delicate about how you phrase your forecast for a given area. But you noticed in the last couple of days, even the local forecast, flood watches and things like that, I think everybody is kind of, on edge.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate reaction to everything. And when something happens, any event, we all of a sudden go into this panic mode and this assurance mode to make people feel better. But in essence, I think these events, while, horrible and terrible, they don't happen all the time. But when they do happen, it's pretty bad. And this was just one of them. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So thank you, Pat, for joining today. Again, send thoughts and prayers to everybody, all the families affected, in Texas. And as a meteorologist, and you as well, we always strive to do our best to be ahead of things, to alert and to inform, not to panic, but to inform. And I think in this case, as we've discussed, I think the Weather Service and all the meteorologists did the best they could in a very difficult situation and a very difficult time for the state of Texas. But let's just hope this is the last of catastrophes that we see for a long, long time.
Let's hope.
Thanks for joining us today, Pat.
You're welcome, Rich.